Adin Ross is done for. His career just imploded in real time, while Doechii collected Grammy nominations like trophies. Multi-million-dollar deals vanished overnight, sponsors ghosted him, and the culture, they turned their back forever. This isn't drama, this is a public execution. Everybody thought this was just another internet beef. Another streamer says something reckless, gets dragged for a week, apologizes, and moves on. That was the version everyone repeated. But this situation evolved into something far more dangerous. We're talking career-ending consequences, industry blacklisting, phone calls that never get returned. And while Adin was scrambling to salvage what's left of his empire, Doechii was making history. 5 Grammy nominations, Billboard records shattered. The timing? Absolutely devastating. New information just dropped that reveals how deep this collapse really goes. Let me break down exactly what happened because the timeline is insane. This wasn't a random outburst. This was a calculated series of mistakes that triggered a culture war Adin Ross couldn't survive. One stream, one moment, a few vicious words he can't erase, and suddenly his entire future started disintegrating in real time. The internet didn't just drag him, they studied him. Fans online turned into full-blown investigators, dissecting every frame of that stream, every word choice, every facial expression. And what they found? A pattern. This wasn't the first time. People started pulling old clips, old tweets, old moments where Adin showed the exact same energy. They compiled them, they made threads, they built an entire case file. And the evidence? It was damning. TMZ just dropped leaked information about what happened behind the scenes immediately after that stream ended. According to sources close to the situation, Adin's management team went into full panic mode. Phone calls started flooding in, not support calls, cancellation calls. Brands that had been partnered with him for years started quietly pulling out. No public statements, no drama, just gone. Reports say that within 48 hours of that stream, Adin lost access to 2 major deals that were worth millions. We're talking multi-year contracts with household name brands, the kind of deals that set you up for life, and they evaporated. Why? Because executives were monitoring his behavior in real time and made the decision that his name had become too toxic to associate with. But here's where it gets even crazier. Online detectives started connecting dots that nobody else was talking about. They noticed that right around the same time Adin's deals were collapsing, Doechii's career was exploding. Not just regular success, historic, record-breaking, undeniable success. Think about it. While Adin was spiraling, Doechii dropped numbers that made the entire industry stop and pay attention. 1.3 billion streams. That's not a typo. Billion with a B. The most streamed female rap project of 2025. And then came the Grammy nominations. 5 nods for one song, a song she recorded 7 years ago. People online started comparing the timelines, Adin's downfall and Doechii's rise happening simultaneously. The contrast was devastating. It looked like the universe was making a point. Disrespect black women in the culture and watch what happens, not just to you, but to the very people you tried to diminish. Fans swear they can see the exact moment Adin realized he messed up. Frame-by-frame analysis of his later streams shows him visibly shaken, stumbling over words, checking his phone constantly. Body language experts online broke it down. The fidgeting, the nervous laughter, the deflection. These are signs of someone watching their empire crumble in real time and having no idea how to stop it. And then came the desperation move. Out of nowhere, Adin announces a $100,000 donation to black-owned businesses. Sounds noble, right? Until you look at the timing. This announcement came exactly 3 days after his biggest sponsor publicly cut ties. 3 days after Complex published that expose. 3 days after the culture collectively decided he wasn't worth defending anymore. The internet smelled blood immediately. Twitter erupted. Damage control. Too late. Performative. We see right through this. The donation that was supposed to save his reputation, it made things worse because it confirmed what everyone already suspected. He wasn't sorry about what he said, he was sorry about the consequences. Let's keep it real. The evidence kept piling up. Leaked DMs allegedly from industry insiders started circulating. Screenshots of group chats where executives discussed Adin's long-term liability status. That phrase right there, that's the kiss of death in entertainment. Once you're labeled a liability, the industry doesn't rehabilitate you, they erase you. Reports say that platforms started watching him differently too, not just social media, streaming platforms, partnership platforms. Everybody who had business relationships with Adin suddenly put him under a microscope. Why? Because sponsors were raising concerns. And when sponsors get nervous, platforms get very attentive. Meanwhile, Doechii wasn't saying a word. No clapbacks, no subtweets, no interviews dressing the situation, just success, just wins, just history being made while Adin's career was being buried. And that silence, that might have been the most devastating response of all, because nothing exposes obsession like yelling at someone who refuses to look back. Online detectives even analyzed Doechii's social media activity during this period. You know what she posted? Sunsets, studio sessions, tour dates, gratitude posts, not a single mention of Adin Ross, not even indirect shots. She was operating on a completely different frequency, and that drove people crazy. The contrast between his chaos and her calm was absolutely brutal. Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking. To understand why this situation exploded the way it did, you gotta understand the pressure Adin Ross was already under before that stream even happened. See, Adin's career trajectory is complicated. These streaming dudes blow up fast, like ridiculously fast. One day they're grinding with a few hundred views, next thing you know they got millions of followers and checking seven-figure bank accounts. But that kind of rapid success comes with serious pressure. Pressure to stay relevant, pressure to keep pushing boundaries, pressure to constantly outdo your last viral moment. And Adin, he built his entire brand on being controversial, the edgy guy, the one who says what others won't, the one who brings on polarizing guests and creates chaotic content. That strategy worked for years. It got him millions of followers, massive deals, and respect in certain corners of the internet. But here's the thing about building your brand on controversy. Eventually, you cross a line you can't come back from. Reports say Adin's team had been warning him for months to dial it back. Sources close to his management allegedly told industry insiders that they were concerned about his content becoming too risky for mainstream partnerships. Translation? The very thing that made him famous was starting to make him unemployable. But let's talk about the financial pressures specifically. Back in 2023, Adin was pulling in insane money. Estimates put his earnings at over $10 million annually. Between kick streaming deals, brand partnerships, merchandise, and appearances, dude was set. He was flying private, buying luxury cars, living that influencer dream life. Fast forward to late 2025, the landscape changed. Kick deals restructured, brand partnerships got more selective, the streaming gold rush started cooling off, and Adin's content strategy, which worked in 2023, wasn't hitting the same way anymore. That kind of financial decline hits different when you're already locked into an expensive lifestyle. Meanwhile, you got someone like Doechii who took the complete opposite approach. She didn't chase virality, she didn't manufacture controversy. She stayed patient, she built her craft, she collaborated with the right people, she respected the culture, and when her moment came, the culture protected her. That's the difference. Now let's connect this to what happened. January 2026. Adin's feeling the pressure, views are inconsistent, engagement is down. He needs a viral moment. So what does he do? He goes for the easy shock value. He says something reckless about someone who's rising in the culture, someone who represents everything he doesn't. And he thought the internet would eat it up like they always do. Except this time, the target was Doechii, and the timing? Horrible. She was literally in the middle of a career-defining moment. Grammy nominations just dropped. Her project was dominating charts. The culture was celebrating her. And Adin decided that was the moment to take shots? The audacity is wild. But here's where the psychology gets interesting. Some people online speculate that Adin was jealous, not just of Doechii specifically, but of what she represents: authentic success, cultural respect, longevity, all the things his controversial brand could never give him. He built a castle on quicksand, and watching someone else build on solid ground probably triggered something deep. Think about it. Doechii's success wasn't just about numbers, it was about legacy. 5 Grammy nominations for a song from 7 years ago means the culture recognized her artistry had staying power.
Meanwhile, Adin's content has a shelf life of about 48 hours before the internet moves on. That contrast had to sting. And it gets worse for him. As news of his canceled deal started leaking, people started comparing his downfall to other influencers who crashed out. The pattern is always the same. Build a brand on controversy, push too far, lose industry support, spiral publicly, fade into irrelevance. Adin was watching that playbook happen to him in real time. Reports from sources within Top Dog Entertainment say the label was already monitoring the situation before Wack 100 got involved. See, Doechii isn't just some random industry figure. She represents a new generation of talent they're investing in. And when someone disrespects their artist during a historic moment, the entire machine activates. That's when Wack 100 received the call. And for anyone who doesn't know, Wack isn't just some random industry figure. He's got deep connections. He's worked with legends. He understands how power moves in hip-hop. And when he tells you that these aren't gangsters, they're businessmen, that's not a warning. That's an obituary for your career. Translation: the streets might forgive you, the culture might forgive you, but businessmen, they calculate risk and return, and Adin Ross had become all risk, zero return. That meeting between Top Dog executives and Wack 100 wasn't about physical threats. It was about making sure every industry door got closed, every opportunity got blocked, every potential comeback got suffocated before it even started. Put all that together and you see the perfect recipe for catastrophic collapse. Financial pressure, jealousy, bad timing, cultural disrespect, and powerful people deciding you're not worth protecting. That's not just a scandal, that's a coordinated erasure. And the craziest part? Adin did this to himself. Nobody forced him to go live that day. Nobody forced him to say what he said. He made a choice, and that choice activated consequences he clearly wasn't prepared for.
But here's the part that really hits different. Beyond the money, beyond the deals, beyond the industry politics, there's a human element to this story that people aren't talking about enough. Doechii didn't ask for this. She was literally just existing in her success, celebrating a moment she earned through years of grinding. It's suddenly she's got this streamer trying to use her name for clickbait controversy. That's exhausting. That's the part of fame nobody prepares you for. You can't even enjoy your wins in peace because someone's always trying to tear you down for content. Imagine working on your craft for 7 years. 7 years! Recording songs in studios you can barely afford, performing for crowds of 50 people, dealing with rejection and doubt and wondering if it's ever gonna happen. Then finally, the culture recognizes your talent. The Grammys call your name 5 times, your streams hit 1 billion, you're making history. And in that moment, someone decides to disrespect you for views. Someone who doesn't know your struggle, doesn't respect your art, doesn't understand what you represent. That's not just annoying, that's violence, cultural violence, the kind that tries to diminish your light because they can't generate their own. Reports say Doechii's team had to have serious conversations about how to handle the situation. Do you respond? Do you ignore it? Do you let your lawyers handle it? Do you let the culture defend you? These are impossible decisions because every option has consequences. Respond and you give him the attention he wanted. Ignore it and people might think you're weak. It's a lose-lose designed to distract you from your moment. And that's exactly what makes her silence so powerful. She chose herself. She chose her peace. She chose to protect her energy and stay focused on what matters. That takes wisdom most people don't have, especially when the internet is screaming for you to clap back. But let's also talk about the broader impact. Young Black women in entertainment watched this whole situation unfold. They saw someone try to tear down a rising Black woman artist, and they saw the consequences. They saw the culture rally. They saw powerful people protect her. They saw that disrespect doesn't go unanswered anymore. That's powerful. That's generational shift. For too long, Black women in entertainment had to endure disrespect with no protection. They had to smile through it, ignore it, rise above it. But this situation proves something different. The culture is evolving. The tolerance for misogyny is shrinking, and there are actual consequences now. Doechii's Grammy night is gonna hit different because of this. When she walks that red carpet, when she sits in that audience, when they call her name, she's not just representing herself. She's representing every Black woman artist who had to fight twice as hard for half the recognition, who had to endure disrespect and keep going,
who had to prove their talent over and over while others got opportunities handed to them. And that's the emotional weight of this moment. It's bigger than Adin Ross. It's bigger than one stream. It's about respect. It's about protection. It's about the culture saying, not this time, not her, not anymore. This whole situation is a reminder that words have weight, actions have consequences, and you can't build a career on disrespecting people and expect the universe to protect you when it all falls apart.
Now this is where things get even more insane, because what happened after the initial fallout is somehow worse than the incident itself. Let me walk you through the evidence that's been surfacing over the past few weeks. First, Adin goes live, trying to do damage control. And in this stream, he accidentally confirms the rumors about his canceled deals. He's visibly shaken, trying to explain his side, and he lets it slip. 2 deals I had lined up, gone. A collaboration with a major NBA player, canceled. He said this out loud, on stream, to thousands of people. Fans immediately clipped it. Within hours, that clip was everywhere. Sports blogs picked it up, entertainment news covered it, the NBA player's name started getting speculated in forums. People were trying to figure out who pulled out and why. And the more Adin tried to control the narrative, the worse it got. Online investigators went into overdrive. They started cross-referencing Adin's past collaborations, looking at which NBA players he'd been teasing partnerships with, checking social media activity for clues. And folks online swear they figured out who it was based on deleted Instagram stories and sudden unfollows. The internet doesn't miss anything. But here's what makes this evidence so damning. Multiple industry insiders started speaking out anonymously. One source told a popular culture podcast that Adin had been labeled a long-term liability in executive meetings. Another source leaked that platforms were discussing enhanced monitoring protocols for his content. That's code for, we're watching you, and one more slip-up means you're done. Meanwhile, let's talk about what was happening with Doechii during this exact same time frame. While Adin was hemorrhaging deals, she was gaining them. Reports emerged that 3 major brands reached out to Doechii's team specifically because of how she handled the situation. Her grace under pressure became its own marketing opportunity. One brand executive allegedly said in a leaked email, "The way she maintained composure and stayed focused on her craft while chaos erupted around her is exactly the kind of ambassador we want." That email circulated in industry circles and basically confirmed what everyone already knew. Class wins, dignity wins, and the culture rewards people who move with integrity. Fans started doing side-by-side comparisons on social media. Adin's downward spiral on one side, Doechii's upward trajectory on the other. The visuals were brutal. Charts showing his declining engagement next to charts showing her exploding streams. Screenshots of his canceled partnerships next to announcements of her new deals. It looked like a case study in consequences. And then came the WAC 100 interview. This man went on a podcast and broke down the entire situation from an industry perspective. He didn't mention Adin by name, but everybody knew who he was talking about. He explained how West Coast artists had unified to freeze out certain personalities who showed disrespect during critical cultural moments. He detailed how these freezes work. No collaborations, no appearances, no cosigns, just silence. Industry exile. WAP also explained the business side. Quote, "When executives see someone become toxic, they don't just cut current deals, they communicate with other executives. They make sure that person becomes radioactive across the board." That's a terrifying reality. It means Adin's problems aren't just with the brands that dropped him. It's with brands that were never in business with him, but now never will be. Let's keep it real. The evidence keeps mounting. Screenshots of alleged group chats between content creators started leaking. Messages where other streamers and influencers discussed distancing themselves from Adin to protect their own brands. One message allegedly read, "I can't be associated with that energy right now. My team is advising a complete separation." That's your peers abandoning you publicly. But wait, there's more. Remember that $100,000 donation Adin announced? People started investigating where that money actually went. Some claimed it was real and verified. Others said they couldn't find documentation. The confusion around it made things worse because it looked like even his apology might have been performative or exaggerated. Complex published a follow-up article breaking down the financial impact.
According to their analysis, Adin potentially lost between $5 and $8 million in future earnings from the canceled deals alone. That doesn't even count the opportunities he'll never get because of his reputation damage. The long-term cost? Potentially tens of millions over the next decade. And here's the kicker. All of this evidence painted a clear picture of something the internet had been saying from day one. When you come for Black women, especially during their moment of triumph, the culture will erase you. Not cancel you for a week or drag you for a month, erase you. Make you disappear from the spaces that matter. Doechii never had to say a word because the evidence spoke for itself. Her Grammy nominations spoke, her streaming numbers spoke, her sold-out shows spoke, her new brand deals spoke. Meanwhile, Adin's evidence was cancellations, leaked emails, and industry sources confirming his exile. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Fans online started calling this situation the Doechii effect, as in the cultural phenomenon where disrespecting a rising Black woman artist during her moment of triumph triggers such severe consequences that it becomes a cautionary tale for everyone else. And that name stuck. The Doechii effect started trending. People made videos breaking down the timeline, the evidence, the lessons. It became bigger than just one beef. It became a movement. Frame by frame, screenshot by screenshot, leak by leak, the evidence built an undeniable case. Adin Ross didn't just lose a few deals, he lost his future in the industry. And Doechii didn't just win a few battles, she established herself as untouchable. That's the power of evidence. That's the power of culture. That's the power of consequences.
Now, let's zoom out for a second because this situation connects to some wild, broader patterns in internet culture and celebrity dynamics that people need to understand. This isn't the first time we've seen a streamer or influencer crash out spectacularly. In fact, there's almost a predictable cycle to these situations. Build a brand on controversy, push boundaries for engagement, eventually cross a line, face consequences, either adapt or disappear. Adin is just the latest example, but he won't be the last. Think about other streamers who faced similar downfalls. We've seen gaming influencers lose everything over offensive comments. Beauty gurus get canceled for problematic behavior. Podcast hosts get dropped by networks for crossing lines. The pattern is always the same. They think they're untouchable because of their follower counts. They mistake online popularity for actual power. And then reality hits. What makes Adin's situation unique is the speed of the collapse. Usually, these downfalls take months. Slow erosion of support, gradual loss of partnerships, eventual fade into irrelevance. But Adin's career imploded in days. That's because he made a critical miscalculation. He went after someone the culture was actively celebrating, someone with powerful protection, someone whose success was being written into history books in real time. And let's talk about the Doechii situation specifically, because Her Eyes is its own incredible story. 7 years ago, she recorded a song that didn't immediately blow up, but she kept working, kept perfecting her craft, kept building relationships in the industry, kept respecting the culture, and when the moment was right, that song exploded. 1 billion streams, 5 Grammy nominations. That's not luck, that's preparation meeting opportunity. People online have been comparing her trajectory to other artists who took years to break through. Folks like SZA, who grinded for ages before CTRL changed everything. Like Megan Thee Stallion, who built her fan base independently before going mainstream. These are artists who understood that real success isn't about going viral once. It's about building something sustainable, something the culture can invest in long term. Meanwhile, streamer culture operates completely differently. It's about daily content, constant engagement, chasing trends, manufacturing moments. There's no room for patience, no space for slow builds. Everything is immediate, and that creates a dangerous mindset where people think short-term virality equals long-term security. It doesn't. Side note, the whole WAC 100 involvement added another layer to this story. For people unfamiliar with how hip-hop industry politics work, having someone like WAC publicly address your situation is serious. It means you're not just dealing with online backlash, you're dealing with actual power structures, the kind that control opportunities, access, and futures. Some fans have been speculating about what happens next for both parties. For Doechii, the path seems clear. Grammy night is approaching. Whether she wins or not, she's already won. The nominations alone solidified her place in music history. 5 nods for one song from 7 years ago is unprecedented.
That's the kind of legacy moment artists dream about. For Adin, the path is murky. Some think he can rebuild by completely rebranding, apologizing genuinely, and doing real work to repair his relationship with the culture. Others think he's permanently exiled and his best bet is to disappear for a while and hope people forget. But the internet doesn't really forget anymore, especially not situations this documented. There's also been discussion about what this means for the streaming industry overall. Are platforms going to start holding creators more accountable before situations explode? Are brand partners going to implement stricter behavioral clauses in contracts? Are we entering an era where online personalities face the same scrutiny as traditional celebrities? This situation might have answered those questions with a resounding yes. And honestly, it's about time. For too long, internet personalities operated in a consequence-free zone. They could say or do almost anything, and their audiences would defend them unconditionally. But as these platforms mature and as money gets bigger, standards have to change. Brands aren't going to risk billions on people who can't control themselves. Simple as that. The Adin Ross collapse is going to be studied in marketing classes. Seriously. It's a perfect case study in reputation management, crisis communication, and the consequences of misreading cultural moments. Business schools will use this as an example of what not to do, and that's probably the saddest part for him. His downfall became educational content for the next generation.
What we're seeing here is so much bigger than one streamer's career collapse. This situation represents a fundamental shift in how the culture handles disrespect, accountability, and consequences in the digital age. For years, the entertainment industry operated on a boys will be boys mentality. Especially in spaces dominated by men, there was this unspoken agreement that controversy equals content, and content equals money, so controversy gets a pass. That era is over. The culture has evolved. Audiences have evolved, and the tolerance for disrespecting Black women specifically has completely evaporated. The bigger conversation here is about responsibility. When you have a platform with millions of followers, you're not just an entertainer anymore. You're an influencer in the literal sense. Your words shape opinions. Your actions set examples. Your behavior influences your audience's behavior, and that comes with responsibility whether you want it or not. Adin built a brand on being reckless and got rewarded for it for years, but he never stopped to consider what happens when that recklessness crosses into harm. When your content starts actively disrespecting communities, diminishing artists, spreading negativity, the culture eventually pushes back. And that pushback is getting more organized, more powerful, and more permanent. This story is also a warning for anybody with a platform built on controversy. You're not invincible. Your follower count doesn't protect you. Your engagement numbers don't make you immune to consequences. The moment you go too far, everything you built can collapse. And in the age of social media, that collapse happens at lightning speed with permanent documentation. But let's also talk about the power demonstrated in this situation. The fact that the culture could collectively decide someone is canceled and then make it stick is remarkable. We've seen attempted cancellations fail before. We've seen people weather storms and come back. But when the culture, the industry, and the business interests all align against you, that's a level of consequence we haven't seen much before. The Doechii side of this story is equally important. Her success during this chaos proves that authenticity wins, that talent wins, that respect for the culture wins. She didn't need to manufacture controversy. She didn't need to tear others down. She just needed to be great at what she does and move with integrity, and the universe rewarded that. This situation also highlights the changing power dynamics in entertainment. 10 years ago, a streamer probably could have said whatever and faced minimal consequences. But now, social media holds people accountable. Audiences demand better. Brands have standards, and powerful people in the industry are willing to protect artists who represent the culture properly. The implications ripple outward. Other content creators are watching this and adjusting their behavior. Brand executives are watching this and revising their partnership criteria. Platform executives are watching this and reconsidering their content policies. One situation is literally changing how the entire ecosystem operates. And maybe that's the silver lining. Maybe Adin Ross's collapse serves a purpose. Maybe it needed to happen to show everyone else where the new boundaries are. Maybe his downfall protects the next Black woman artist from having to deal with similar disrespect, because everyone remembers what happened to the last person who tried it. The culture is speaking, and the message is clear. Disrespect Black women, disrespect the culture, and watch your career disappear. Not slowly, not eventually, immediately, permanently, publicly.
And this story is still unfolding. The collapse isn't over. New information drops almost daily. The situation keeps evolving in ways nobody predicted. Let me break down what's allegedly coming next based on insider whispers and industry patterns. First, there are strong rumors that more brands are quietly cutting ties with Adin but choosing not to announce it publicly. Why? Because they don't want to be associated with the controversy at all. Not even in the "we're ending our partnership" announcement. They're just disappearing. Contracts expiring without renewal, opportunities evaporating without explanation. That's the scariest type of cancellation, the silent kind. The kind where you don't even get closure or a chance to respond. Sources within the streaming world claim that platforms are now implementing what they're calling cultural sensitivity monitoring for top creators. Essentially, AI tools and human reviewers watching content for potentially problematic moments before they become full-blown scandals. Adin's situation apparently accelerated the development of these systems. His collapse became the case study that convinced executives this was necessary. On the Doechii side, speculation is wild about what's coming next. Industry insiders are predicting she might sweep her Grammy categories, not just one or two, sweep them. That would be absolutely historic, and if it happens, it'll feel like the universe putting an exclamation point on this entire saga. Like, you tried to diminish her, and she responded by making history. There's also talk about a potential documentary. Multiple production companies have reportedly reached out to people involved in this situation, trying to secure interviews for a behind-the-scenes deep dive. Imagine a full documentary breaking down the timeline, the cultural implications, the business decisions, all of it. That would be insane, and honestly, necessary. This story deserves that level of examination. Some people are speculating about whether Adin will attempt a comeback, and if so, what that would even look like. Does he disappear for a year and come back humble? Does he try to pivot into a completely different content lane? Does he attempt some grand apology tour? Or is he genuinely done and we're just watching the final chapters of a career that can't be saved? Industry veterans who've seen similar situations play out are split. Some think there's always a path back if someone's willing to do the work. Genuine apologies, changed behavior, community repair, time. Others think this particular situation crossed too many lines with too many powerful people and there's no coming back from it. The exile is permanent. Meanwhile, whispers suggest West Coast artists have made a pact, an actual agreement among multiple camps that Adin Ross is persona non grata. No features, no appearances, no acknowledgements, frozen out completely. If that's true, and these pacts usually are, that's a career death sentence in hip-hop adjacent spaces. You can't operate in that world without West Coast respect. It's impossible. And the wildest speculation, some people think this entire situation gets used as a legal case study for how social media platforms should handle influencer misconduct, that Adin's collapse becomes the example cited in courtrooms, policy meetings, and regulatory discussions. That would be a legacy, just not the kind anyone wants. The next few months are critical. Grammy night will be a moment. Whatever Adin does next will be analyzed brutally, and the culture will be watching to see if these consequences actually stick or if people forget and move on like they sometimes do. But something tells me this one's different. This one matters more. This one changed something fundamental. So where does this leave us? What's the final takeaway from this insane situation? Let me bring it all home. Adin Ross went from internet king to industry pariah in a matter of days. Multi-million-dollar deals vanished. Powerful people united against him. His name became toxic in spaces that used to welcome him. And all of it happened because he disrespected a rising Black woman artist during her moment of triumph. Meanwhile, Doechii went from celebrating Grammy nominations to becoming a cultural icon, a symbol of grace under pressure. Proof that talent and integrity win in the long run. The contrast couldn't be more devastating or more clear. This story is a warning to every content creator, every influencer, every person with a platform. Your words have consequences, your actions create ripples, and the culture is watching. Disrespect the wrong person at the wrong time, and you don't just lose followers, you lose everything. Your future, your opportunities, your legacy. But it's also inspiration. To every artist grinding in silence, wondering if their moment will come, Doechii proved that patience works, that respect for the culture gets rewarded, that authenticity creates lasting success. She won without firing a single shot, just by being great and letting her success speak. And honestly, that might be the most powerful response of all. Stay locked in, because this story is about to get even crazier. More details dropping, more consequences surfacing. Grammy night is coming, and that's going to be a moment we'll be talking about for years. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Adin Ross can ever come back from this? Do you think Doechii is going to sweep the Grammys? And what does this situation say about where culture and consequences are headed? Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering every twist as it unfolds. I appreciate you for rocking with me through this wild story. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, protect your peace, and remember, the internet never forgets.